real good way to figure out who the emotional vampires are in your life, who the narcissists are. And I talk about this in my book, Unfuck Your Mind. I have a chapter, I have more than one chapter about it, but there's one in particular about boundaries. You want to know who the real motherfuckers are in your life and who the fake ones are and the narcissist. Why don't you start standing up for yourself and create some boundaries? Because the people who really love you unconditionally, the good ones, the ones who truly support you and got your back, they respect your boundaries. They don't fuss. They don't like, what are you doing? Why? That's not who you are. You don't ever do that. It doesn't rattle them up. But I will tell you what, it sure does rattle up those emotional vampires that are just sucking the life out of you. The narcissist, the fake fucks, ooh, it rattles them up. They do not like boundaries. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for tuning in to my show. I'm going to talk today about narcissistic abuse. Narcissism is a hot topic right now. It's really getting a lot of attention and a lot of awareness, and I think that that's really important. And when there's something that's new, right, and it's talked about a lot, oftentimes there's misconceptions, confusion, misunderstandings. And so I kind of just want to talk more about it and clear things up. As a person who endured narcissistic abuse for a very, very long time, it's real, and it's something that I still unfortunately have to endure. It doesn't go away, but what happens is the way that I approach it, right? The way that I interpret it, the fact that I know what's going on, but it still takes a toll on me. I share my kids with their father, and so I might not live with him anymore, but there's still things that I have to unfortunately deal with, and narcissists are they want to hurt you. And when they can't reach you, and when the old way that they used to be able to trigger you and piss you off, when it doesn't work, they dig deeper and they get ugly. And I'm human. And even though you overcome it, even though you can heal from it, it doesn't mean that, number one, it goes away if you still have to have that person in your life somehow. Number two, it doesn't mean that sometimes it just sucks and it's just too much. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened to me recently, is that, I've just had a lot going on in my life and a lot of good things, but with it is stress. And then this happened, right? And I won't go into details because I can't, but there were just a lot of it was a few weeks of it. And it was also geared towards, unfortunately, someone else I love dearly. And so it was really, really hard. And the last few weeks have been a little rough. And so I thought today would be a good day to just talk about it and bring awareness to it. And also, for the person listening that is having to deal with it, sometimes it is just a breath of fresh air to hear someone else who did and overcame it. And healing doesn't mean that things don't bother you anymore. It's the effect it has on you, right? But when it's things you can't control and it's towards someone else you love, that's tough, right? That makes it really, really hard. So I want to talk about, the way that they do it, right? So if you've listened to previous episodes, I've discussed how your past is the narcissist playground. So in the love bombing stage, which is what they do in the very beginning, that's when they get to know you. They get to know all the details about you, and you feel like they're the one, they're your best friend, and, I can just tell them anything. That's in the very, very beginning, in the love bombing stage. What they're doing is they're gathering information. They're figuring out all the things you've gone through, all your betrayals, your insecurities, the things you're sensitive about, the things that bother you, maybe ways you've been treated in the past that weren't good by other people. And in the beginning, they pretend like, they really care. And it seems like they have empathy, but it's all a show. And then when the abuse starts, they start to take all of those things that you told them in the very beginning and they start to use it against you. Okay. For example, um, one of the things that, happened to me, there's a ton of them, but one of them was that I was, I had always struggled with female friendships. And that was something that had always been difficult in my life. And I've always had a lot of female friends, but um, it was always harder for me making friends with girls than it was boys. And so that was one of the things that he knew. And so then later on, that was against me, right? Nobody wants to be your friend, and this is why. And if you weren't this way, and if maybe you did this, and if this and that, and it was used against me, right? Um, the fact that he knew I was, never felt good enough growing up. Well, that was another one that was used against me, right? Because then I was told I wasn't good enough, right? And I would never amount to anything. All of those things. So those are some examples of my own personal life where information that I gave in the love bombing stage was then used against me later on. And then that went on for like over 14 years. So it really starts to eat at you. And so part of the abuse thing, and I think it's important to know because I talked to a girlfriend last night on the phone who's going through a pretty hard situation. And, her closest friends, it's harder for her to talk to them about it because they don't understand it. And so if you're listening and you do have a friend or a loved one in your life who is having to deal with narcissistic abuse, please understand the emotional toll and mental taxing that it takes on that person. It is no joke. I am someone who no longer endures that kind of abuse every single day. I still get it in little bitty spurts here and there. And knowing who I'm dealing with and how to deal with it makes a huge difference. But when you're in it, sometimes those people don't even quite know what's going on or the depth of it, but it wears you out. It is like someone has chipped away at you every single day. It's like you got a wound a long time ago and it never got to heal. And that same person keeps coming and picking it off, picking it off, picking at it. And it festers and it gets infected and it gets deeper. That's the best way I can describe what it is like emotionally, internally, when you are the person that is getting uh, the 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 end of the narcissistic abuse, when you are the person being abused by the narcissist. And I'm talking about mental and emotional. So please make that note. Of course, there's other types of narcissistic abuse, but I'm in specific today speaking about the emotional and the mental aspect of it. And it wears you out. And that's what they want. Why do they do it? They do it because it's few things. Number one, maintain control, right? They want to intimidate you at all times. They like to see you hurt. Narcissists are basically super scared little kids who never emotionally grew up. They seem like they're really smart, intellectual people, but they're not. Their mental aptitude is very low. They have no empathy. Their comprehension is very low. It is like a child that got hurt really, really bad. And now they want to inflict the pain upon everyone else. They do not have the ability to feel emotions. They can feel pain, hurt, and anger. And when it seems like they're happy, the reason that they seem happy is because they are laughing at someone that they are hurting. They're laughing inside that they feel like they're winning. They are broken souls that cannot be fixed. All a narcissist cares about is their image. If it seems like, well, they came and they helped and they did this and they did that, sure. They weren't helping you. They were helping their image. Because when they go help someone, these people, by the way, oftentimes they work in churches, they work with kids, they do a lot of charity work. They do a lot of things that make them look good. They oftentimes seem like they have like a ton of friends, but they're all very superficial friendships. Typically, they have a lot of friends because it feeds their ego. Their ego is like a black hole that can never be filled. In fact, it doesn't even have a bottom, it's just empty. And no amount of love from another person, no amount of attention, no amount of winning and what they consider winning or financial abundance can ever fill that black dark hole. It is empty just like their soul is, black and dark. Hey, Jana, that seems a little harsh. Well, why don't you get in their radar and deal with narcissistic abuse for a long, long time and endure the emotional pain that they put on you? You know, what they do is they will tear you down, bring you to the very bottom, make you feel like a piece of shit, make you feel fucking worthless. And then when you reach your bottom and they feel good, like, oh, I really got her this time. Look at her. I'm in control. Then they're like, oh, well, you know, man, I should probably do something to make myself feel better about that. So then they go, they buy you gifts, they shower you with gifts. There's some sort of material payback that you get. And you think that they feel bad. They were having a bad day. They feel really bad for how they treated me. They took me shopping. We went and did this. We took a trip. They bought me new shoes. Look at my purse. Honey, that was not for you. That was for them. They did that because it made them feel better and again maintain control. They're able to keep you hanging on. Their biggest fear is that you expose them and you leave them. That is their biggest fear. That's the fucking truth. Their biggest fear is that you expose them, that you see through their shit and you leave them. These people cannot be alone. They oftentimes are cheaters. They go from one relationship to the next. They cannot be alone because they don't love themselves. They are the most insecure human you will ever come across is a narcissist. And wow, is that not funny? Because they sure come off egotistical, super confident, easygoing. But remember, as long as you're on the outside looking in, that's exactly what you will see because their goal every second of every fucking day is how do they look? How do I sound? What are other people thinking of me? But if you're the person on the inside, and I'm not talking about friend, if you're the person on the inside, maybe you're the business partner, maybe you're the girlfriend, maybe you're the boyfriend, maybe you're the wife, you're the husband, maybe you're their daughter, you will see the real them. Make no mistake about that. Narcissists, typically, a person that is enduring narcissistic abuse always wonders why the narcissist that's abusing them is so nice to strangers, nicer to other people, treats strangers better than they do their loved one because it's a fucking image. They got you in the love bombing stage. They reeled you in the love bombing stage, whether that's a friend or a partner, they reeled you in. When they knew for sure they had you, they started to sprinkle in a little bit of the narcissistic abuse. Then the gloves came off, right? And if you're someone like me who stands up for yourself, boy, do you really get it. They don't like that. Don't you dare stand up to me. And you think they can't go any lower? These motherfuckers, they don't have a floor. They don't have a ground. They got no boundaries whatsoever. And they definitely don't like your boundaries. A real good way to figure out who the emotional vampires are in your life, who the narcissists are, and I talk about this in my book, Unfuck Your Mind. I have a chapter. I have more than one chapter about it, but there's one in particular about boundaries. You want to know who the real motherfuckers are in your life and who the fake ones are and the narcissist. Why don't you start standing up for yourself and create some boundaries? Because the people who really love you unconditionally, the good ones, the ones who truly support you and got your back, they respect your boundaries. They don't fuss. They don't like, what are you doing? Why? That's not who you are. You don't ever do that. It doesn't rattle them up. But I will tell you what, it sure does rattle up those emotional vampires that are just sucking the life out of you. The narcissist, the fake fucks, Ooh, it rattles them up. They do not like boundaries. They are the weeds. And honey, your grass, your garden, your flowers, they can't bloom and grow and be beautiful with the fucking weeds sucking out the nutrients. So I'm always going to be blunt and honest and authentic. And I'm not going to hold back because sometimes you just got to get the point across. Sometimes you got to get people to stick up for themselves. And the thing with narcissistic abuse is you get trapped because they have torn you down to nothing. You have no confidence, no self-esteem, no self-worth, no self-love. They want to be your only fucking supply and they're shitty at that. They barely give you enough to keep you hanging on. Everything they do is for themselves. They will sabotage your good times. Think about your birthdays. Your birthdays, you get put in a hospital, you have a kid. You get hurt, you get sick. Oh, they don't like that. Somehow, some way, they will find a way to turn themselves into the fucking victim every damn time. Let me tell you something. A real motherfucker is supposed to be there for you when you are going through a hard time, when you're going through a difficult time. If you got to ask somebody to be there for you, maybe you need to ask them to get the fuck out. So, if you are worried about setting boundaries for yourself, sticking up for yourself, or ending a relationship that you're pretty sure is not healthy, probably a little narcissistic abuse going on, ask yourself this. If it's really, really meant to be, is you ending it and moving on going to make it end? Won't the right people fight for you? Don't you want to know that they will fight for you? A narcissist fucking won't. And as soon as you turn on them, as they say, really it's called AKA get tired of their shit. That is really when that mask comes off. So get prepared for that. Boundaries are meant to protect you. You're not snobby or bitchy or whatever because you have boundaries. You have self-love, self-worth, and self-confidence. And you know what? You have standards and you should. I'm going to leave y'all with that today. And I will talk more about narcissistic abuse and ways to deal with it in the next episode.